Hey, welcome to M3 Marriage for this, I guess the third episode, right? My name's Jamie.
And I'm Sandra. We are Marriage Matters with the Morgans, where we are committed to helping relationships be mature, meaningful, and mindful.
She did it. Very good.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, it was very good.
It only took a couple takes.
I mean, we thought a lot about all those M's, right? There was a lot happening there. M3, we're trying to figure out a name, you know. Tell us if you like it. Drop a comment and say, hey, I like it, or no, I don't like M3 at all, right? So mature marriages, what's that about?
Well, I don't know, but we started out with, okay, it's too much to look up Marriage Matters with the Morgans.
Yeah, that's a lot of typing. There's a lot happening there.
So we're just playing around. I think we're settling down with the M3. So where we are focusing on the...
And it looks like we're kind of more in the camera frame. We're not cut off this time.
Oh, really? Oh,
yeah, it looks like it. We'll find out. It could be.
And a certain furry someone is at my feet today, not in my lap.
Yeah, she's pouting. She doesn't like it. She doesn't know what to do with herself because she's not in Mama's lap. But it'll be okay.
Yeah. All right.
So what are we going to talk about today?
Well, I was going to ask you that.
Yeah. I think one thing to start off with is the idea of mature. What's a mature marriage look like? That doesn't mean that you're old.
No.
It doesn't mean that you're a fuddy-duddy.
No.
Mature means that you're respectful of one another, that you've grown wise in the way that you approach marriage.
Well, when I think about it, I think of, when you're immature, you're more prone to nitpicking and just...
How about selfish?
Selfish.
Yeah.
Maybe a little more easily bothered and petty.
yeah, sure. That's good.
So, when I think about maturity in a relationship, it's looking beyond and getting past the petty stuff.
Yeah, we had somebody asked, and this is a good question, right? I think they were trying to be snide, but it's okay. That's good. It's a good question. They said, well, what qualifies us to talk about marriage?
Oh. Well, first off, you're a professional counselor, so
I am.
This is your career. This is what you do.
Sure.
But backstory, we had both been married before.
How many times?
Well, this is my third marriage.
And my fourth.
So.
I know that's wild, right?
Yeah.
So 29, married, divorced 3 times.
Yeah.
29, married, divorced twice.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, so by the time, together, married, divorced 5 times by the time we were 29.
So
now, how long have we been married?
We're going on 22 years.
22 years in April.
Yeah, 22 years coming up. But what we really discovered was, we don't have a perfect track record. We're not experts because we've, done so much great. No, we've kind of gotten to where we are through all the mistakes.
Yeah.
Through all the pain, through all the hardships, through all the white knuckle hanging on, because that's our commitment.
Yeah. What I like to say a lot is I'm really clear about what doesn't work.
Well, we kind of figured that out right from the very start.
Yeah, really clear about what doesn't work, but now I'm pretty clear about what does work too.
And what developed along the way is we had this passion for seeing the possibility for every couple to appreciate and to have the happiness and joy and friendship and intimacy and everything that is possible in a marriage. And that's where we decided that we needed to do something about it.
That's right.
We saw more than a few friends go through really bad times that they didn't make it.
Yeah.
And when you're really close to someone and you want to see them make it and they don't, boy, it's
hard to watch.
It is hard to watch.
Yeah. And I think the other thing too is that there's such a stigma, maybe? No, maybe, I don't know. There's an acceptance of bad marriage. A bad marriage, this is just, one thing that makes me crazy that people say in my office, we fight just as much as every other couple does.
Yeah.
Normalizing fighting. Oh, I can't stand that.
Right.
That just, because it's sad. It's no, there's nothing to fight about.
It doesn't have to be that way.
It doesn't have to be that way. And that's kind of really been our mantra, that it doesn't have to be that way. The marriage that we have now, I'm not saying that it's awesome, but it is awesome. It's I didn't think it was even possible.
Right. And I know we talked last week about the, the fighting and not needing to fight. There's other ways.
Today's broadcast brought to you by Monster Ultra Energy Drink.
And Master of Circumstance.
That's right. That's right.
But, another thing that we've seen is people talk about, their marriage be either, well, I got a good one or I got a bad one. And that's really that's not how it works.
Yeah, good one or bad one. That's, I think we talked about that too, right? About setting the context of your marriage, about how if the context is not to get divorced,
right?
Yeah, you're not gonna do it, right? But you don't get a bad one. There's not like a marriage lottery. You don't like, hey, I got a good one.
Yeah.
It's not. Marriage is only gonna be rewarding if you work at it.
Yeah.
But that's everything in life.
Yeah, for sure.
Right? So you had a question. I actually a couple questions, but we landed on one I think we're going to talk about today.
Right. Some feedback that we got, or another question is want to know about rituals of connection. Because we talked a little bit last time about how some of our regular routine, where we end out the day with sofa time, and just kind of connecting, and as a family, we're all touching, and that's kind of what we do.
Yeah.
And, whether it's the petting or whatever, but I think that brought up the question for people that want to know about what is a ritual of connection. And
so, ritual, something that you do on a regular basis, ritualistic, religiously, right? So that just means you do it at a set time necessarily, or most of the time. And connection, how do we connect, right? There's two kinds of connection, or intimacy, right? There's physical intimacy, so sexual intimacy, and emotional intimacy. And rituals of connection, most often, are emotional intimacy things, right? So a lot of times when there's a day off, we just go for a drive. We'll wake up in the morning and we wake up at the crack of dawn, typically. I do.
Yes.
And then like,
not so
hey,
much
Mama. Well, here's what I do. I let the row outside.
Oh, yeah.
Then she likes to come in and wake up Mama, because she starts getting all excited because she knows she gets to. We have a ritual connection with her too, right?
We do.
Because she goes for the ride with us as well.
She don't say that.
Don't say that word, right? So, but Friday, Saturday, Sunday, for sure, and then other days when we're off, we just go for a drive, and we don't have any particular place to go. We just drive around, and sometimes it's 10 minutes, and sometimes it's an hour, sometimes it's 2 hours. We've done that before. Sometimes we talk the whole time with no radio. Sometimes we just listen to music. Sometimes it's silence with no music. There's no standard on how we do it. It's just really a matter of we just want to spend time together and be together. And I'd always, a lot of the times, get her some wet and dry flour, because that's her favorite.
If you don't know what that is, that's biscuits and gravy.
Yeah, wet and dry flour. That's right.
And our toughest decisions on our ride is get to the end of a road, which way?
Yeah, left or right.
We just go.
That's right, we go. Oh boy, she just heard you say the word.
Oh no, I did say.
She said, wait, did you say something?
We're not right now. Sorry.
Yeah, so that's important, and then some other rituals of connection, it's just this, like, how do we get together? So, like, another ritual of connection is eating dinner at the dinner table. Now, we could do better at that.
Right. We're working on that. That's a focus for this year.
It is.
We're wanting to be intentional about not eating all of our meals on the sofa.
Yeah. Yeah, and really spending that time and playing games. That's another ritual of connection. Maybe you sit down at the kitchen table and play cards with your spouse or your family. Board games are good. That's good too. A ritual of connection is just being in the presence of one another, and talking, not talking. That's okay, but really connecting with one another.
Right, and that works for marriages, but also your family.
Yeah, that's right. And it works for the family. It's super important in a marriage. We're really, lucky that we have one child at home.
Yeah.
because it makes the rituals of connection a lot easier.
Right. There's not as much demand, but also we've come through. He's a teenager now. We're past all of the, difficulties of a child being extremely dependent on us for every little thing and needing constant attention.
That's right.
We're a little more independent now, so that does free us up to have time for ourselves as well.
So I think what's important though is if you have multiple children, a lot of times you're running this one here and this one here and this one here, you still have to make time for each other.
Yeah. Otherwise, you end up, once they're all gone.
Right. You
Who
don't
are
even
you?
know each other.
Yes.
Right? So a ritual connection can be a morning. I know a lot of my clients love to wake up, make a pot of coffee or make their own coffee, and then they go out on the deck and just talk and hang out and watch nature. So that's a ritual of connection as well. Right? Hiking, ritual connection. So being active can be a ritual as long as it's something that you do ritualistically. There's a rule. This is kind of this is similar because ritualistic is on a timeline. So it's the 2-2-2 rule. Every 2 weeks, you should go to dinner with your partner. Right? So every 2 weeks, by yourselves, not with your kids, just by yourselves. Every 2 weeks, you should have dinner alone. Every 2 months, you should really, if it's realistic, you should really push for this 3-day or 4-day weekend together.
Yeah, a weekend away.
A weekend away. And then every 2 years, you should have a week-long vacation alone.
Yeah.
Right?
Not the family vacation.
Not a family vacation. That's just you two. Yeah, because again, it's super important to build your relationship to where you have a solid foundation and some growth around it when the kids move on.
Yeah. And that's difficult. I mean, I know even with as much as we have and all that we know, I still don't like being away from William. It's hard.
We have come home early from a vacation or a trip. It's like, I'm just ready to go see the boy.
Yeah, we're a little. It's good practices, and it is possible.
So what that's called is being enmeshed, where you don't know where one ends and the other begins.
But
so that's fun.
There's still a lot of value in it, even if, the times that I can think of that we did go with the intention of being gone for a week, we got what we needed. We were gone, Well, one time I think we went to Wisconsin Dell. The Dells.
Wisconsin Dells.
We were there for probably 3 or 4 days and kind of seen everything we needed to see.
Well, it was hard, right? Because we went there in the off season, so about half the places were open. But it was really nice to just, again, take the time and connect. Right.
And where we stayed was on a lake, so that was very, very just
serene.
And so we had that downtime. I think we even scheduled a couples massage. Just all that time together. So
couples massage. Why bother?
I know. It's like you're just in the same room.
I don't want to talk. I don't want to talk to anybody. Just come on, right? Give me a massage.
Right.
Yeah, couples massage. That's always silly.
So why is it so important?
Boy, you gotta have that emotional intimacy. That's how you feel connected. Women tend to be better and need more emotional intimacy. Men tend to not be as good, but we can absolutely learn to be emotionally intimate. But we typically have a higher desire for sexual intimacy. Right? And it's really hard to have, for a woman, to have sexual intimacy with her partner if they're not emotionally intimate.
Right. You can't just come home at the end of the day and we haven't talked at all. Everything's been a mess. I'm just bottled up and, bedtime and you're all ready to go. And I'm like, no.
Yeah.
We didn't even connect, that it doesn't work that way.
Yeah, sometimes it can, obviously, right? But if you really want to have a healthy relationship in that way, yeah, you got to make sure that you're meeting all those needs, right? The emotional, the emotional needs, as well as the sexual needs.
Boy, thinking about emotional intimacy makes me think of emotional intelligence, and that is a whole nother subject.
Yeah, that's a good subject to talk about. We'll talk about that someday. But one thing to say about that is, you can predict. All the research shows this, right? You can predict with it's a high 90%. I don't remember exactly, it was 92, 93% accuracy. There's a correlation.
Okay.
The higher the man's emotional intelligence is, the more happy and successful the marriage will be.
Yeah, because you're able to identify more than just angry or happy.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Boys are raised, again, for the most part, right? Boys are raised, and we're really allowed to have 2 or 3 emotions, really 2.5, right? You can be happy, but not too happy, right? You can be sad, but not too sad, not too long, and you can be mad. Now you're okay to be mad as much as you want, a Hulk smash.
Right.
That's expected out of boys. Right? And when we can really get past that toxicity around those thoughts, and allow ourselves to find more emotions, we tend to be a lot more healthy. Just like for women though, you were the oldest of 4 girls, and you had a mom, and there was no dad in the picture at the house, right? You guys learned all the emotions because you guys would talk to each other and identify, and ants and all that stuff. It's like, I'm mad. No, you're not. You're hurt, or you're upset, or you're like, there's a whole different range of emotions that you guys get to learn for the most part, right? I don't want to generalize, but that typically is what happens. So being able for men to be able to tap into that and really learn those emotions and become empathetic.
Right.
Well, it's really hard to be empathetic, because empathy is, really feeling necessarily what the other person's feeling.
Right.
But in order to do that, you got to be vulnerable, because you have to dig inside yourself and find a time when you felt that way, and allow yourself to feel it, to feel it with them.
Right.
Well, if you don't know what those feelings are, and you don't allow yourself to feel those, it's just, Hulk smash or happy. It's hard to be empathetic because you can't understand.
Yeah, it's true.
Right?
Right. So what are some of the ways, I know we've kind of talked a little bit about it, but, I know that different ways of being intimate and building that, the connection.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm
no,
sorry,
I know where you're getting at. 'Cause I remember we talked about this with pregame here. So really what you're getting at. So in the book, His Needs, Her Needs. Okay, that's probably one of my favorite marriage books. Is His Needs, Her Needs. And in that book, what the author talks about is he lists out 10 needs. Right. Now, what's really interesting is sexual fulfillment it's a need in and of itself, and then affection is its own need, and those are separate. And I think, again, a lot of men, what we tend to do is we tend to conflate affection with sexual fulfillment. We tend to only use affection as flirting, or what's it called? When you're getting ready to have sex, but you're not. What's it called? The pre stuff. When you're just messing around. What's that called?
Foreplay.
Look, man. Since I've been like 52 now, I just lose words.
I do too.
Oh my gosh, it's the worst.
Bear with us.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Foreplay. So a lot of guys, we tend to conflate affection and foreplay together.
Right. No, I said I love you. That's foreplay, right?
Yeah.
No.
Right. And what happens is when we do that, it removes the the benefit of affection,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like, let's say in your ritual of connection,
Mm-hmm.
that you like to put your head in my lap or head on my chest while we watch TV, right? Well, if every time you put your head in my lap, I'm like, well, hey, you're there, right? How often would you want to put your head in my lap?
Probably stop.
You would stop doing it.
Yeah, it's
right. So
not,
then you miss
there's
out.
an expectation that comes along with it, and that's not fun.
That's right. So then you miss out on the affection,
Mm-hmm.
right? So we got to do a much better job of separating that out. If your wife, your spouse likes to put their head on your chest, just let it be that.
And
right?
That's non-sexual touch.
That's non-sexual touch, right? And a hug. A hug. Look. So just so you know, if you're gonna hug someone, spouse, right? Kids even, 20 seconds or more, but a minimum of 20 seconds. At 20 seconds, you get a dopamine release and endorphins, right? So then there's going to be a chemical reaction in your body that then associates that good feeling with hugging your spouse. Right. So it's kind of like a biohack almost, right? Yeah.
Well, and even that touching, that body to body, even skin to skin.
Skin to skin is
we
important.
know that for babies, it's so important that skin to skin connection that's just solidifying the safety and the comfort and the becoming one.
Yes, that's right.
And it's as important in marriage as all the rest.
Yeah, again, so that would be affection, right? That skin to skin touch is affectionate, right? So, you should lay together naked and hold each other. It doesn't have to lead to sex. It shouldn't probably lead to sex. To separate that out. Doesn't mean it can't.
Right.
But it shouldn't, right? And the same thing, like, maybe even after a shower, right? Showering together is a good ritual of connection, and it's a good skin to skin opportunity, right? We have to take those opportunities for intimacy, right? Because otherwise we tend to fade apart, right?
Thinking about that, there's so many times in a day when, you might walk past your spouse and kind of tap them on the bottom or whatever.
She can't
help
herself.
Those are signs of affection, and I see people that get annoyed and irritated, and even just
Offended,
upset that all you ever do is touch my body. And I'm thinking, man, if your guy admires you so much that he can't keep his hands off of you, where's that a bad thing?
Do you know why they get annoyed by it?
No.
Because they don't have the emotional intimacy.
That makes sense.
Right?
Yeah, so you're just pawing at me.
So now I'm just a piece of meat to you.
Yeah.
If I have the emotional intimacy and we feel connected, bring it on.
Yeah.
But if I don't have that, that's a problem, right? Because now I just feel like a piece of meat. I've had that problem with her before. Just a piece of meat to her. Right? But
for
seriously.
me, it really is. It's, I get a boost in my own self-confidence.
Yeah.
When you admire me and
sure.
just really show me that you are attracted to me.
Now, this is good. Let's go back a little bit to what affection is, though. In the his needs, her needs model, and we're going to talk a lot more about this, right? But in the his needs, her needs model, the idea is that I'm going to be the one that's going to meet your needs, and you're going to be the one that meets my needs. And I'm willing to meet your needs the way you want them met, but you also have to be willing to teach me how to meet those needs the way you want them met. Right? So, now, let's go back to what you were talking about. This happens a lot in my practice. The wife will say, well, affection's high on my list.
Right.
And the husband will say, what are you talking about? I'm affectionate with you all the time. Mm-hmm. And then she'll say, well, when? Well, you know, like when you're cooking or doing the dishes, I come up behind you and give you one of those or give you one of those, right?
Right.
And then she says, what?
That's not affection.
Yeah, I want to punch you in the face when you do that.
Yeah, yeah. Now you're just interrupting me.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's important to understand that affection is not affection if your partner doesn't receive it as affection. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Right? I don't mind holding hands. But this one, when we first started dating, would do this thing here. And I'm like, look, you got to stop that. That's going to make me crazy. Like, don't do that. Right? And that's important. I don't mind holding your hand. But don't rub a hole in my hand.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
If hugging, maybe you're not a hugger. I had to learn to be a hugger. Didn't get a lot of hugs growing up. Your whole family hugs. Mm-hmm. So I had to learn to give you hugs because that's how you receive affection a lot of times.
Right.
Right? Right. So I had to learn how to do that. Mm-hmm. Yeah. You know? So it's really important to ask your partner what they think, what their definition of affection is, mm-hmm. and then work at meeting their need of affection in that way, not how you think it should be. You're like, what are you talking about? I am affectionate to you. I do this. I do this for you. I do this for you. Yeah, but that's not affection.
Right.
To me. Mm-hmm. This is affection to me.
That's one of my favorite exercises, and this actually goes back to what qualifies us to do this. Mm. We have led several, or facilitated.
Yeah, a lot of marriage courses.
Yes, marriage courses, and I think we still have quite a few couples that attended some of our courses. It was my favorite thing every time to do that. Each of them write down, rank in order.
Yeah, their top 10, their top 5.
10.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
And to see, because I think, a big surprise that we did always get is everyone would assume that for every man, mm-hmm. his top need mm-hmm. is sexual fulfillment. Yeah. And it's not always. And, and he may think that her top need is what? Affection or praise.
Or financial, yeah, anything, right?
And so just to see people have that list, be able to rank it,
yeah,
and really discover new things about mm-hmm. each other, because how many times have we heard, well, I just want to be a good husband, or I want to be a good spouse.
Yeah.
What does it mean? If you don't know to your partner what that means,
yeah,
you're just spinning your wheels.
Yeah, because, so I have 2 things to say about that. So first off, when we rank those, I did mine. Before I read all of the needs, I said, give me sex and feed me, I'll be pretty happy. Mm-hmm. Like that'll just be it, right? Mm-hmm. What I didn't know is that I really value admiration. Mm-hmm. Yeah. As I was reading through the list, it's like, wow, that's interesting. I didn't know that I needed or liked or wanted that, but man, that's important to me. Because when I identified it and was able to name it and define it, yeah, that's super important to me. And I would have never in a million years guessed that was important to me.
I think, whether people realize it or not, that is important to a lot of men, to be respected and admired, and that goes a long way, man. When you provide that for your spouse,
yeah, you
give them that respect and that admiration. Mm-hmm. Again, we talk reciprocal.
Yeah,
that's going to reap more benefits, and it's not to manipulate.
That's right.
But it's a natural occurrence. When you're meeting my needs and I'm meeting your needs.
Yeah, that's super important, man. That's really good. The other thing I was going to say is I forgot already, because again I'm old and I don't remember what it was, but it was really good. It was going to be a really good conversation. Sure. Oh, I know what it was. So it's about expectations, because you had mentioned, well, I just want to be a good husband. Mm-hmm. Well, I want to be a good wife. Okay, awesome. We both want to do that. But here's the thing. You grew up in a family, mm-hmm. and I grew up in a family. Mm-hmm. And So there's two kinds of learning: explicit learning and implicit learning. Explicit learning is when you know that you're learning something. You go to school, you might go to marriage counseling, right? You're there to learn, on the job training. You're like, I know I'm learning, so your brain is plugged into learning. Okay? Implicit learning really happens the rest of the day.
Right.
You're watching, mom and dad, or aunt and uncle, or grandma and grandpa, or TV people, right? The Cosbys, whatever, right? You watch those families and you make assumptions.
Right.
That's how to be a good husband. That's how to be a good wife. That's how to be a good mom. That's how to be a good dad.
Right.
Here's the rub. You have your idea of what those good things look like. Here's what a good husband looks like. Right. Here's what a good mom looks like. Here's what a good dad, and here's what a good wife looks like. You got yours, and then I got mine. And a lot of the time, those are pretty opposed.
Right.
But we think, because normal is subjective, we think that, well, of course you should do it this way. Because that's how to be a good husband or wife.
Right.
And I'm thinking, no, that's not how my tribe does it.
Right. Yeah, if my tribe was, the husband brings home flowers once a week and takes her out to dinner on Wednesday nights, or whatever it might be.
That's a great,
But those are that's what I always witnessed.
Right.
And then when you don't provide that for me, I feel like, man, maybe I didn't get a good one.
Yeah, that's right. Because it's like, well, wait a minute. You're not being a good wife. You're like, what are you talking about? I do this, this, and this. Yeah, but you haven't done this, this, or this.
Right.
Why didn't you know that was important to you? How could you not know that was important to me?
Right.
Like, it's really fascinating. So I think that's going to be that would be a good exercise for you and your partner to do, is to just write down, just define what a good husband is and what a good spouse is. And both of you should make both lists.
Oh, yeah.
What's a good husband? What's a good wife? Both of you do that, and then compare your list. I think you'll be surprised about how that goes.
Completely.
So, hey, we're already at 32 minutes, so we want to keep these around 30 minutes, right?
Yeah, I think so.
So, hey, you got a neat shirt on. Tell us about your shirt.
Well, I am making some Valentine's shirts right now, and I came up with this one that says, what does it say?
Love never fails.
Love never fails. And, I've got a few more designs, but I am available to make shirts and sell them. This one is actually going to be for sale because it's too big for me.
A little bit too big.
A
little bit too big.
Yeah, that's another side thing. But let us know if you're interested.
That's right. Drop us a message or a comment, and we'll hook you up with that. Okay. So, hey, thanks for watching, and really hope you have a great marriage.